Let's talk about the meme Hello Darkness, My Old Friend, which is actually a song called The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel, both of whom are boomers. It's in this meme. Let's talk about memes, boomers, and a movie called The Graduate. I'm proud of you for knowing this song, by the way, but what would make me even prouder is if you actually listened to the whole song, the original old song.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Not the cover by Disturbed, which seems to be trying way too hard to be melodramatic, edgy, and meaningful, and whose slightly off-sepia video wants so badly to be like Metallica's Unforgiven. If you can honestly say you've listened to this song in its entirety, I'm giving you a fatherly shoulder hug right now. That's how proud I am of you. Hello, everyone. I'm old, but I'm not a boomer. I'm Gen X, and I could be your dad. This song blew up the world of memes back in 2016, which is so old in Gen Z, Gen Zer years, you probably don't care about it anymore, but for a while, this was your way to express feelings of utter hopelessness and despair. But there's so many things you should know about this, and it has to do with the boomers and a 1967 film called The Graduate. I first saw this meme, I first saw memes after hearing my kids laughing very loudly in the TV room. We used to call this the living room back in my day. So I see my kids watching YouTube video compilations like 10, 15, 20 minutes long, each of which is just a series of 7-second video clips all in succession of random stuff that's supposed to be funny, which was like shocking to see at first. I remember stopping in my tracks and giving great thought to many things like, is this how these Gen Zers are entertained? Like, what the actual F is this? Is this really what comedy has become to this generation? I also became aware of myself, like, is this really just my Gen X butt freaking out in a back in my day sort of way? It was like watching nonstop punchlines of the cheapest jokes anyone could find, but in short video snippets, and I could not handle it. I remember staring with my mouth wide open and having so many thoughts and questions for my kids. But after binging on it for an hour or two, it grew on me. And then I was laughing. And then I found myself going, no way! And then I realized, I have stooped to your level, my Gen Zers. I shall not fight it. I shall take these feelings of shame I feel for finding these videos hilarious and turn it into an unspoken shame between me and my kids. And now you. So then in this long video compilation they were watching, I saw the Elmo in the Rain video meme. It so perfectly captured the essence of whatever was happening in the video. And by that, I mean, no one knows why some person is standing in the rain in an Elmo suit. Well, I mean, somebody does, but it was a vision of rock bottom. Whatever that person was trying to put out into the world dressed as the happiest-go-luckiest little red dude in the world was utterly destroyed by the fact that he was standing alone and still in the rain without an umbrella, and no one cared. And neither did he, apparently, because he's just standing there seemingly ready and willing and perhaps desperately wanting to just melt away into nothingness. And someone captured it in a 7-second video clip. I believe you might say he was dying inside. Yes, I think that's the phrase I think you understand. So upon witnessing this video, one of the first thoughts I had was on the oldness of that song and the fact that it's part of the soundtrack to the amazing 1967 film, The Graduate. I was fascinated to see how Gen Zs were using stuff from the boomer generation to express some of the feelings they were having because, well, despite our obvious age differences, remember, I'm not a boomer, we all have the same emotions to express, right? So in a way, it felt like a beautiful merger of the old and the new. Who could have thought that this song would be featured in a hugely popular meme 50 years after its recording? So it looks like this meme started with the 2014 Soccer World Cup. Well, soccer if you're from Canada, the US, Australia, or South Africa, and known as football if you're from the rest of the world. Anyway, Brazil's team is at a point when it's clear they're not going to win the World Cup, even though the cup is being played in Brazil. Sadness and disbelief are in the air, and some guy posts a video of a sad Brazilian man in the crowd watching his dreams crumble, and in the background is
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
And the meme world erupts in a collective understanding of how brilliantly this song captured any and all of humanity's despair and sadness. The thing that I am more interested in talking about is the song by Simon and Garfunkel, who are two very notable boomers with a ton of hit songs from the 60s. First of all, it's actually called The Sound of Silence, and the 60s were when your grandparents, the boomers, were your age now. They are children of the 60s. I, a Gen Xer, am a child of the 80s and early 90s. Anyway, Simon and Garfunkel released this song in 1964, the same year as Ken Kesey's famous acid-fueled bus trip across the country. Google it. The song was a hit. Then 3 years later, the song was scooped up to be in a film called The Graduate. Watch The Graduate, y'all. That's homework. You want to know what it was like to be a young, privileged, white, cis, hetero male in the 1960s with everything going for you, every door open for you, and still not know what the fuck you were doing with your life? This story was the story of the boomer generation. It spoke directly to the boomer experience. The Graduate was directed by Mike Nichols and starred Dustin Hoffman, who is easily one of Hollywood's greatest actors, but y'all probably only know him from the voice of Shifu in Kung Fu Panda. Anyway, he's a boomer, and The Graduate is his acting debut, playing the role of a top-notch college student and athlete who has no idea what he's doing with his life. He's a young, lost boomer trying to figure things out. He's not having fun. He looks like he's about to lose it every moment he's on screen, and we know this because we see him in the first 30 seconds of the film walking through an airport with The Sound of Silence playing.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
No one watches and hears this scene and thinks, oh, this guy's doing fine. He's fine. Everything is fine. It couldn't set the mood any better. When you watch this scene, you're thinking, this guy is trying to look normal, but is actually dying inside. But they didn't say dying inside back then. They'd say probably nothing, actually. Just bottle that shit up and try to seem normal. I saw this movie for the first time when I was a sophomore in college, and straight up, it scared me to see just how much I identified with this character for at least a short time in my life. I felt like I was just existing, drifting, and didn't know what to do, and there was no real excuse for me. Like, there was nothing holding me back at all. Just like this character, I felt pathetic. I felt stuck in this dark, horrid place of not knowing where I fit into the big picture, what my purpose was, what I was doing. So, yeah, an existential crisis, I think is what that's called. Dustin Hoffman was able to portray this feeling of being totally lost and aimless to perfection. And then the song, The Sound of Silence, was thrown in there, and voila. The emotional crisis this man was going through was there in all its cringy glory. I had never seen a character like this portrayed on any show or movie, and because of that, I loved it. I watched it many times once discovering it because I could watch his struggle, which at one point, not too long before seeing this film, was my struggle. His exact despair and sadness was mine too, and it was relieving to watch it from a distance. Because this song is so perfect for this movie, it's probably one small reason why Mike Nichols ended up winning the Academy Award for Best Directing that year, and this song was just one track out of 5 that Simon and Garfunkel have in the film. Oh, and you like the song Mad World, right? I mean, I do.
And I find it kind of funny.
Listen to The Sound of Silence and then listen to Mad World, and you might notice that The Sound of Silence is Mad World's granddaddy. The Graduate is more than just this one character, though. Oh, I mean, so much more. It features another character, Mrs. Robinson, played by Anne Bancroft. She was the voice of the Queen in the movie Ants. Winner of numerous acting awards, a legend, an absolute force. Anyway, she plays the next-door neighbor's seductive mom. Yes, a cougar, and the way this relationship sets up and plays out is just classic. Watch the film. You can see from the very moment she lights up the screen that she's in charge and is going to get exactly what she wants. An affair with Ben. She is the apex predator seducing the emotionally wrecked Ben with mastery, and you're rooting for her, at least I was. It's hard not to. She is smoking. Well, literally, too. She knows what she wants and knows exactly how to get it, and you end up wanting her to have it, even though you know it's wrong on so many levels. And oh, it gets better. Enter Mrs. Robinson's daughter, Elaine, with whom the two pairs of parents with the exception of Mrs. Robinson, of course, are urgently trying to get to go on a date and start seeing each other. Oh, buddy, grab your popcorn. Simon and Garfunkel were also in the middle of writing a song called Mrs. Roosevelt at the time filming was taking place, a song about President Franklin D. Roosevelt's wife, Eleanor. When the director asked them if they could change it to Mrs. Robinson and get it in the movie, they did. And so we have... And here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. The soundtrack to the film was a huge hit. Everyone loved Simon and Garfunkel and The Graduate, and the boomers said yay and lived their best lives. Please do yourself a favor and watch The Graduate. Learn about your boomers, make me proud, tell me your thoughts in the comments. It would be totally far out and groovy if you liked and subscribed.